Hi everyone, I would like to show you how I made this altar dominoes. This is for Nina's group in Facebook, Nina Rabina's art journal prompts and more. I've bought dominoes. I had them for a lot of time from a cheap store. To my surprise, it was from the cheap store, but these are not plastic. These are the good kind of dominoes. So I worked on this. Uh, I also had these dominoes, which are made from some really cheap wood material, but they are great for other stuff. If you are asking yourself what you make with this, most of this will go and be pendants, and several times I've used altar dominoes from this stuff to decorate several mixed media projects. So do whatever you want, use your imagination. And so I will start by telling you what I've done for each one, and then I'll demonstrate several of them. I'll bring it a little bit closer just so you can see. I've done some kind of gradient background with acrylics stamped with permanent ink pad, archival ink, some text, and then glued cogs I had. Gluing metal is best with E6000, and it's easier. You can also with some kind of silicone glue like Yoo-hoo, but what I like with the E6000 or there is also B7000, is that they have a really fine nozzle, I don't know how to call it, and then I can work on very small things. And now my eyesight. Okay, here we go. I managed to close it. So this was one. Here we go. This is just napkin that I've glued down, and then took some string, gold string I had, and went all around it with glue so it will stick, and that's what came out of it. Another domino that I've done some gradient acrylic paint on the back, stamped with text stamp, and then stamped this flower and attached another charm here. The little dots were made with, I'll show you, it's for nail art, something like that. Again, there is a fine tip, so it's really easier to work when you want little dots like this. And it's permanent, so I like working with this for little projects. Again, the same thing, all of these, they are just acrylics in the background, then stamping and little dots with the nail polish. Same here. Now these ones are just glued paper napkins, and with paper napkins, if in other project I always told you to look at the bigger picture, at the pattern and the color of the napkin. Here I needed to check my napkins for little details that will be interesting on a little piece like this. So I had this paper napkin, and here is my butterfly on the domino, and you have text in the background and more embellish here, and I've got this paper napkin that I got from Nina, and I used here the flowers, and here flower, and on this flowers from this napkin. I've taken each time one flower by taking a fine paintbrush and with water and going around the image that I wanted to get out of the napkin, like so, and working with it very gently and taking little bit of paper napkin and then gluing it down. Now on little pieces like this, when you want to glue them down, it's better to use white glue, diluted white glue, or attach the napkin with varnish, again very gently with a soft paintbrush. So all these are just pieces of paper napkin. Here you can see I've used the paper napkin as my background, and I just drew the heart. Another paper napkin, and this is just this area of the napkin, like this, and I have attached these charms. Paper napkin, this is just a printout from the internet. Here it is. Here I've tried, I wanted it to look like it has cracks, so what I've done, I have a stamp of cracks. I've stamped it on a regular printer paper, glued it to the domino, and then put a paper napkin. So this is it. It turned out quite interesting. These three are made on the very cheap domino, the black one, and I had to, for these two, I had to paint them with acrylic first because it's black, and then I've glued napkin. Here I've glued down a mulberry paper, and I wanted to see if the what do you call it, if the fibers here will show, and to my great surprise they did, and it turned out quite interesting. And then I glued just a glass bead that I had. So this is it. Now more pointers about working with altering dominoes. All this stuff, it's a study in frustration to paint dominoes that are from this kind of, I don't know, something like that, like marble. Anything you want to do on this kind of a domino, it's better to do on paper and then cut and glue it to your domino. You can even take markers like this like this. I'm making a background. And now only gluing it to your domino. Let's add more. Now if you want to stamp it, again stamp it on your paper. Don't try doing it on your domino. Again, it just it's just a struggle. Here we go. Let's take just one stamp, and let's see what I have on hand. and use something that after it, when you put any kind of varnish or anything that will seal it, won't smear. So now you can glue your piece of paper here. Another thing, gradient. Again, take two or whatever, if you want more than two, but it's small piece, so I'm going for two dots, really small amount of acrylics. Again, better on the paper, start like this. Even if one overwhelms the other, you can add color like this. My yellow disappeared. And now you've got the gradient background. Just work on it until you are satisfied, and of course when it's dry you can stamp it, you can draw on it, you can do whatever you want, you can add words, you can add charms. So this is one. Paper napkins. Of course you can, as I said, you can glue directly, but if you are afraid that it will tear, just glue your napkin first, again, to any kind of paper, and only then cut it and glue it to your piece of domino. Let's see, I'll take scissors just to demonstrate. This is silicone glue. Even if it doesn't cover my domino, I can always add later. Here we go. Now I can even ink the edges, make up a sponge. Like this. Now the edges, you can leave it as is if you like it. You can put acrylics on it, several. I took this is heavy acrylic, and it also got really dry, but what I like about it is that it looks distressed because it got dry. It's more like paste. So you can use heavy acrylics to make your edges. Another thing I found really, if you don't like the distressed look and you want it more refined, then you can take nail polish. which is really easy to work with, like so. Very quick, very precise. Here we go. Now, because this kind of pieces have this raised dot, let it sit on something like a bottle cap, like this. Now, if I want to decorate more, I can also take the same nail polish. I can put a dot here. I'm not putting it right now. I want to show you just how I'm finishing this piece. I wanted to use, I've just bought it's called gel paste. It's supposed to be shiny, and it was supposed to be 3D. And I've tried it, like I've tried before. I've bought another kind, and it just doesn't work for me. I don't know why. It's kind of well, it is gel, but it leaves brush marks that I don't like. What I did find is that I can dilute it a little bit with water, and then it turns fine. So I just dipped my brush in water. But you can use any kind of varnish that you want, just to make it to seal everything and to make it look shiny. Of course, there is matte varnishes. You don't have, if you don't like shiny, use matte. So now this needs to dry. I'm putting it aside. Just another domino, and I've got another varnish. This is water-based varnish, matte, and just so you will see, where is it? A piece of paper napkin, a little bit of the varnish. Now you can also, with napkins, you can also let them go over the edges if you like. You don't have to trim it. It will do whatever seems aesthetic to you. Here we go. Varnish on top. I hope you can see what I'm doing. And now I can go over the edges like so, and let the napkin go over. And even if afterwards I don't like it, I can go over the edges either with acrylics or with the nail polish, as I showed you. What I like with the paper napkins is that I can build layers. They are a little bit transparent, so I'm always using it to my advantage. Here we go. Now I've got a flowery background, putting it here, and I can take now a flower from this paper napkin and add it here, or I can take another napkin like this butterflies, take one of the butterflies and put it here. I can just stamp this kind of a domino and leave the paper napkin just as a background. So these are the things I've played with, and the biggest tip that I have is that it's easier to working on paper and then attaching it to the domino. And another thing I had, let's see, yeah, another technique to use on dominoes is to use your ink pads, but it has to be the permanent ones. I only have black from archival ink, so I couldn't use it. I've tried the other kind of stamp ink pads, and it's just awful. It's like it doesn't dry, it just stays as is. This is from 2 days ago and it's still wet, so it doesn't work. Only the permanent kinds work, and then you can do again, you can do a gradient in the background with the ink pads. So you can try it. I just don't have any color except for the archival the black archival ink pad. So go for it and try it, and maybe even the distressed but inks pad can work. I don't know, I just don't have them. So this is it. Try and play with your dominoes, and this is it for now. Bye.